You are good, movie. You're very good. So Top Gun Maverick follows Maverick from the original Top Gun, going back to Top Gun to train a new group of pilots for a dangerous mission in enemy territory. And this is a movie that I was looking forward to quite a bit. It wasn't in my, I don't think it was in my top 5 most anticipated movies of the year. It was in my top 10, I believe. I am not a massive fan of the first movie. I think it's enjoyable enough. I don't really think it's a very good movie. I think it's too cheesy and too 80s, and it's very much a product of the 80s and doesn't age super well a lot of aspects of it. So I was really expecting this one to be quite a bit better, and once the early reviews started coming out saying how great this movie is and how it's, some people are saying it's like one of the best movies they've seen in years and how it's much better than the first one, that got me really excited. And I've already seen this movie twice, so that should already kind of tell you what I feel about it. Let's jump right into it, and I'm going to talk about spoilers a little bit here. It's not going to be like a walk through plot point by plot point throughout the movie, but I'm talking about certain specific things I want to talk about the movie and get into spoilers if necessary. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the characters and performances, and honestly, they're great all the way around. Tom Cruise's Maverick, again, is phenomenal. You know, just like the first movie, he's got that likable, charming, charismatic, factor to him, and he's got that big, goofy smile, and he's a rebellious guy that we all like and root for. But he also has a great character arc in this movie. There's a lot of great emotional beats with him, such as the scene where he's looking into the bar and seeing Miles Teller's Rooster, playing on the piano, and it reminds him of Goose, and he thinks back to Goose. Great stuff. That is one of the most emotional scenes in the movie, and that kind of made me tear up. And I was surprised just how emotional this movie was in general. I thought it was going to be good. I thought the action was going to be good. It was going to be a lot of fun. But the emotions hit a lot harder than I expected. And that's what part of what elevated this movie above, what anyone could have possibly expected. This is basically the best version of this type of movie. But that scene he was looking in the bar, phenomenal. And Miles Teller does a great job overall. He very much emulates Goose, and he looks like him, and he kind of acts like him in certain ways, but he's also resentful of Maverick because Maverick pulled his papers earlier on, which is not something we knew about. We assumed that Rooster was, resentful towards Maverick because Goose, his dad, died when he was flying with Maverick. But no, he's resentful because Maverick pulled his papers, which we find out later in a conversation with Jennifer Connelly with Maverick, who, by the way, Connelly's great in the movie. She's absolutely gorgeous. I can't believe she still looks this amazing, considering, she's getting up there in age, but still looks amazing. So, credit to her. Does a great job in the movie as well. I like their relationship. I wish they could have fleshed that out just slightly more, but I understand that there's so much going on in this movie that wasn't the main plot line of the movie, and I just felt just a little bit underdeveloped. I wish they could have just fleshed it out just a little bit more. But besides that, the best scene between them for sure is the conversation they're having that I had alluded to before, where he's talking about how he pulled his papers because he made a promise to Goose's wife that he won't let Rooster, fly because he doesn't want him to die like Goose did, and he feels bad for Goose dying and doesn't want the same thing to happen to Rooster. Great stuff there. Then we get the conversation with him talking to Val Kilmer's Iceman, who I really like what they did with him in this movie. They couldn't have really done much better. They had a couple of options. Given what happened to Val Kilmer in real life, he got throat cancer and he can't talk anymore. He's cancer-free, but he's not unable to talk. So he has to use this kind of like little device that helps him speak. He can't speak on his own. And they had 3 options as far as I'm concerned. Either not have him in the movie and just kind of mention him in passing, or have him die off screen, which he does kind of happen anyway, but we'll get to that. Second option was to recast him, which hell no, you can never do that. And the third option, which I think is the right one, which is what they did in the movie, which is they have him in it a little bit. He doesn't appear much in the movie, but his presence is very much felt because we find out that he's been, protecting Maverick and, vouching for him over the years. And even John Hamm's character says, John Hamm kind of plays the hard-nosed guy who is by the books and really doesn't like Maverick, but he hires him for this because Iceman ordered him to. And he says straight up that, I didn't want you here. You weren't my first choice, but I chose you because Iceman is vouching for you and he's the one protecting you. If he wasn't here, you wouldn't be here. So we get the great conversation with Maverick and Iceman where they're talking about, Rooster and stuff, and how Maverick doesn't want to bring him to the battle, to the mission, because he doesn't want him to die just like Goose does. And then, Iceman keeps hitting on the point, you gotta let go. You gotta let the kid do what he wants to do. Otherwise, he's going to resent you forever. And just a phenomenal conversation between them. And you get a little bit of a moment where Iceman actually does talk. I mean, throughout most of the scene, he's typing on the computer, kind of typing notes, saying what he wants to say, and using the computer for that to Maverick. And then he talks a little bit at the end, and they do a really good job with that. It's not actually Val Kilmer's voice. I don't know what they use, but it does sound like someone who had throat cancer. So great job with that. And, they had a really nice moment, a nice hug. And then Iceman's like, who's a better pilot, me or you? And then Maverick's like, let's not ruin the moment. I love that. And I love how we kind of fill in the blanks as far as a relationship. I mean, at the end of the first Top Gun, they kind of patched things up. I mean, they were rivals throughout the entire movie. But I do like in this movie that they're basically best friends now. And how Iceman's been protecting him this whole time. And how he is very much a presence felt throughout this entire movie, even though we actually see him in one scene. And then he dies. He dies from the throat cancer, and we get a very emotional funeral, which definitely made me tear up a little bit. And then, because he's no longer around, John Hamm fires Maverick, which now leads Maverick to have to prove that this mission, which is a very difficult mission, and they show them training throughout the entire movie, trying to figure out how to do it, and basically seems like it's impossible. It's a mission that can't be done. And the death of Iceman leads Tom Cruise, Maverick, to have to show John Hamm's character that this is doable, that it can be done. And then he gets rehired because of that, because John Hamm, he's like, I'm in a very tough spot. What do? Do I fire you and, risk the lives of all of these pilots, or do I bring you on as mission leader and risk my career? That's an obvious choice. Bring him on as mission leader. So great stuff there. So that means that Iceman didn't die for nothing. His death meant that Maverick had to show this mission is doable, and then led to him getting rehired. So that was all great stuff. All phenomenal. And then just kind of the side characters were all great too. Phoenix and Coyote, I'm not going to remember all of their names, but they were all really good. Bob, played by apparently Bill Pullman's son, does a great job. Everyone was great. I mean, we didn't get a ton of time with each of them individually, but we got enough. We got enough to learn about the type of people that they are. So they were fleshed out just enough to be side characters. That was great. And then we get the third act, which is probably the best part of the movie. Although another small issue I have is that it did go on just a little bit too long, I think. But they kept it fresh because it was kind of... So at first they were doing the original mission, and then Maverick gets shot down, and then, Rooster goes to save him, then he gets shot down, and then they get in this F-14, which is awesome. And by the way, I don't know if I'm the only one that thought this, but I thought when they stopped the F-14 and were looking like what we're going to do, I thought it stalled out. And I feel like a lot of people in my theater felt the same way. They thought the same thing because they started laughing. That's not what happened. They stopped on purpose. But the noise made it seem like that it's so old and rusty that it stalled out. But I really did enjoy the stuff between Rooster and Maverick throughout the entire movie. And then the conversation they have where Rooster is yelling at him and extremely bitter. It's like, why'd you hold me back? And then Maverick tries to explain to him, but he can't tell him that he made the promise to his mom because he doesn't want him to resent his mom too. And then that leads to the stuff that they have in the third act where Rooster rescues Maverick, and then Maverick's like, what are you thinking? Rooster's like, you told me not to think. And Maverick, he can't say anything because, yeah, I did tell him that. So great stuff there. I really like how they repaired their relationship, and then they get in the F-14 and they destroy these two ships, and then this other ship comes along. It looks like they're fucked, and then Hangman comes in and saves them, which is a great, great moment. Great redeeming moment for him. It's his Han Solo moment, because Han Solo in The New Hope is certainly kind of like him. He's a dick who is cocky and is really good at what he does, but doesn't necessarily care as much about his comrades, which we see earlier in the movie when they're practicing. He's like, your teammates got killed. He's like, well, they fell behind. And then at the end, he rescues them. Such a great moment. Great stuff. But he's still himself. He's still cocky. He's like, I am good. I'm very good. Awesome. Glenn Powell played that character so well. And we don't necessarily need main characters to die. But we need to feel the tension. We need to believe that they could. And that's why that moment worked so well. Because we're like, shit, maybe Maverick and or Rooster is going to die here. This doesn't look good. And then Hangman comes in and saves him. So satisfying. Great stuff. And then we see him getting back at the end. And, you know, the little look from John Hamm, which Ed Harris is also in the movie. He kind of plays the first version of John Hamm, the guy who's in charge, who's very hard-nosed and by the books and doesn't like Maverick, very kind of scowling all the time and giving these looks to Maverick like, damn you, I don't like you. And he did a good job for the limited amount of time he was in the movie. And then we get the awesome song from Lady Gaga, and then we get the stuff, you know, Rooster looking at the picture with his dad and Maverick. Very, very satisfying, fun, emotional, funny movie with awesome action, awesome performances. Just an incredible experience. A movie that I'm going to watch over and over and over. I've already seen it twice. I certainly intend to go a third time, maybe even a fourth time. Can't get enough of this movie. The soundtrack, even the score. I mean, they bring in Hans Zimmer for this one. They kind of combine, you know, his sensibilities with the old beats, the old pieces from the original movie. Amazing stuff. I always forget to mention score sometimes, even though I'm a massive score guy. And sometimes that's because the score blends in so well with the movie, they don't necessarily think of it. But then I'm like, oh yeah, that score was great. And Hans Zimmer, he always brings his A game. He's my favorite composer of all time. So he's phenomenal. His score is great in this movie. Then the soundtrack, of course, too. Just so much to love about this movie. A couple minor nitpicks I have, but it's an incredible ride from start to finish. I'm going to give Top Gun Maverick an 8 out of 10. So there you have it, guys. Have you seen Top Gun Maverick yet? If so, what do you think? Drop a comment below. Are you one of the many people, are you in the vast majority like me who thinks this movie is awesome and one of the best movies of the year? You know, way better than the first one? Or are you one of the few? I've only seen like one person since the movie came out who said it's like average or not good. One person. Every single person I've either seen it with or talked about it with in real life or talked about it with, you know, on whatever social media or seen them post about it on social media, on YouTube, whatever. Everyone has sung the praises of this movie, talked about how great it is and how shockingly great it is, how it really surprised us. I can't say enough about this movie. It's phenomenal. So, you know, what'd you guys think? Drop a comment. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button. If you enjoy my content in general, subscribe to the notification bell. I got more stuff coming. I've been teasing some new things for a really, really long time. I promise that's coming soon. And stick around for that. I will see you soon.